Hey everybody out there in the internet lands, Motive here, and I'm here with three, my very best friends. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen and lady. How about the lady first?
Rage cat.
Alright, next one.
Hitsuki.
And who do we got here?
Variant.
Very nice. And tonight, we're going to be talking about a wonderful, wonderful show that I've discovered like 3 days ago. Gravity Falls. And how friggin' weird is this show?
I think it's amazing. I love this show entirely.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I was very skeptical getting into the show. Just, kids shows now are really stupid. You
Never
got
mind a Disney show.
And a Disney show at that. I'm not Disney whatsoever. But I saw this show, like the first episode, and I was crying, laughing. It was fantastic. And then I was told that there was something more. That there's actually a plot behind the plot. And that it is quite thick.
So you can plot while you plot.
Yo, dog, I heard you like plots. But for that, I'm going to hand it over to Hitsuki, where we are going to be discussing 3 of the more prevalent backplots.
So, first of all, if you're watching this, or rather listening to this, I'm going to assume you've already watched the show.
Yes, because there's going to be major spoilers.
Major spoilers. Our first theory we're going to talk about is the Stan's twin, or as I like to refer to it, the Stan's brother theory, which basically says, if you look at Cypher's wheel, you've got the glasses, which kind of look like Stan's glasses, and at first, that's what we assumed was Stan, but then we realized that he also has the symbol on his fez is also on the wheel. So that's got to be someone else. And in the first time traveling episode, we see a glimpse of what looks like a younger Stan with those very glasses. Now,
that's in episode 3? 4?
That's 9.
Oh, that's 9.
Yeah. Episode 9.
I watched them all in a row, and it's one giant episode for me. So.
Yeah. And so, obviously, we're not going to have doubles on the wheel. So everyone decided he must have a brother who had a different set of glasses, whom we haven't seen in the show yet. On top of that, when you look at the image of Stan, or the young Stan as it was perceived at first, not only are the glasses different, it's also the first time you ever see him clean shaven. He always has a 5 o'clock shadow.
No, except for when he was like 8 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah. And instead of 5 o'clock shadow, he had acne.
Right.
And I just kind of chalked that up at first to a different frame, and he shaved that morning. But then I took another look at it, and those aren't the only differences. His nose is slightly different. It's a different, almost an orangish color instead of a reddish color, and it sticks out a little more. It's not so bulbous and round. It kind of curves. And he also has a cleft chin, and that's the only time you ever see him with a cleft chin.
And that's not something that just goes away with age. You
Exactly.
always keep that.
Yeah.
So, that could be a different person altogether.
That's the current theory.
Who was living at the shack before Gruncle.
Right. A lot of people speculate that that's his twin, because twins run in families.
Yes. Though the thing is, though, that they would be twins, but they aren't identical twins if they are identical twins, because if they were identical twins, they would both have or not have cleft chins.
Exactly.
So they'd be, I forget what the term is for...
Fraternal twins.
Fraternal twins, or, whatever is not the one where the egg splits. Twins.
Yes, and I actually looked it up. And identical twins is not a genetic marker, but fraternal twins is.
Yeah.
The only thing about that is it would have to be the female that has that trait, because the way that it's caused is an overproduction of eggs in a certain cycle, and they both get fertilized.
Yeah.
And where they all have the last name, they would have the Pines twins' father would be the in common family member. And so I just refer to it as the brothers theory instead of the twins theory, because it doesn't necessarily have to be twins. It would probably be really cool.
Yeah, it would also fit in with Mabel and Dipper being twins, but they could just be really close in age.
And some siblings look so close anyways.
Yeah.
Although I kind of would hope that they are twins, because I actually saw a headcanon the other day, and they had the image of what was originally thought as to be young Stan, so Stan's brother, and Stan next to each other, and it said Mystery Twins Classic.
That would be funny.
Nice. So that brings us to the second theory of the night, and that's who wrote the journal. Seeing how on that wheel that we were discussing prior, that six-fingered hand is also on that wheel.
Right. And at first, I was all for the theory that Stan wrote the journal. I enjoyed that. That was my original thought. And then when I had found out that Stan had a brother, I was like, oh, it must be Stan's brother. That would make more sense. Because otherwise, why would he need to search for the journals?
Especially considering and studying the background images that are suggested in the theory of him being the brother. His brother seems to be a very well-read person, reading books in the background and being more clean-shaven.
Right. The only problem with that is that if the glasses represent his brother on the wheel, they also have an image of the six-fingered hand on the wheel. So again, that's another different person.
Yeah. So, sort of like how McGucket was the technical assistant for the author, that maybe Stan's brother could have been the literature assistant.
Yeah, someone, and also assuming how he was a big guy, he'd also help move some of this heavy equipment, because obviously that's a big machine underneath the Mystery Shack.
Yeah.
Also, we have the Shapeshifter episode, where they go down and try to find the author, and they find the Shapeshifter instead. And the Shapeshifter says that six-fingered geek hasn't been the same for 30 years. Now, there's also a theory that maybe Gruncle and his brother, or Gruncle and the author, have actually switched bodies via the switching body carpet in the hidden room. What do you guys think?
Well, I kind of like that. I've been thinking about it, and as much as I like it, I'm still not sure.
I have a few problems with that, with the idea of Gruncle having switched with the author. If he was the author in Grunkle's body, then it would be logical to assume that he would remember the things that were written in the journal, so he wouldn't need to find the journals quite so much. And he would also remember where he put them.
Right.
The only other problem I have with that theory is that, well, not really a problem, but like, who would, because the reason that I wanted to talk about this theory in particular was the ciphered message that said Stan is not as he seems. And so I had just assumed maybe some sort of body switch there. But out of the people that he could have switched with that I can think of off the top of my head, it would all clash with the fact that he needs to find the journals. Yeah. Because my top three theories would have been that he switched with his twin brother, presumably twin brother, or that he switched with the author, or maybe that Bill possessed him at some point. But I don't think that fits either.
Yeah. Also, the problem I have with him switching with his brother is that clearly his brother had lived in the Mystery Shack long before it was the Mystery Shack, that had probably built the building there and had built the underground facility and all of that, is that at least it seemed that when they discovered the room with the carpet in it, that Stan didn't know that room was there. That Stan doesn't actually know what all the rooms in the Mystery Shack are.
Exactly.
And if he had switched with his brother, then it would have made sense for him to actually know about everything in the shack.
Right.
And also you have Gruncle Stan looking at those glasses kind of remorsefully.
Yeah.
You know, if that was actually the brother, would you think that would be that interaction between
Right.
him and the glasses? So that brings up what makes Stan not what he seems.
Yeah. Which is hard to figure out, because pretty much I've been thinking at this point that it might just be another just sort of big fuck you to the fans, and having all of this hype and theory, and having the whole Stan not be what he seems basically mean Stan's actually a really nice guy.
Yeah,
Right.
Like the way he seems right now is that he's not as he actually is because of all the hype.
Yeah.
Right. And it just means that he's not as he seems to the outside world of Gravity Falls.
Right.
Yeah. Because everyone sees them as this money-grabbing, heartless guy, when really, at least one of the theories at the moment, which is another theory, is that he's doing all of this portal stuff to try and get his brother back.
Yeah, that was my thought too, because if you look at the first time Cypher is summoned in that episode,
Right.
At the mention of Stan Pine's name, he turns around, and that first image of Stan, he seems to be outreaching for something, almost upset or horrified at what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's got that blue glow.
Right,
that is very...
and that black background kind of like that little, subterranean laboratory that he has.
Yeah.
Right.
Like his brother had invited him over for the unveiling of this beautiful machine he'd made, and suddenly everything goes wrong. Sort of thing.
Right.
And so he had to spend the next 30 years just trying to get it to work again, because he didn't build it.
Right. So that brings us to our third and final theory, which I forget. Because we went off and did a couple other things, and I think that's kind of explained that final one.
Yeah. I know there was one other thing I wanted to address. I honestly don't remember it now, though.
I think we actually covered everything in that loop-de-loop little conversation that we had.
Yeah. The only thing that would bother me, though, is having the glasses be Stan's brother and having the hand be some other author person we haven't met, is that it seems like then the only major character that doesn't have a spot on the wheel is McGucket.
Right.
Even though he seemed to have a major role in things. He doesn't have a spot there.
If it wasn't for the fact that the episode with the blind eye, if it wasn't for the fact that he specifically said he works with someone who's writing these journals, I would have assumed he was the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, actually, a lot of people had speculated that he might be with the bandage on his right hand, maybe covering up a scar of where he used to have a sixth finger.
Though the gloves that Stan wore, didn't they have both hands have a sixth finger?
Oh, no, just the right hand had the sixth finger.
Was it the right hand?
I think it was the right hand.
I guess that would make sense for fitting to McGucket, but still in the
But what about the journals themselves? It's a left hand print, isn't it?
It's
not
flat, so
necessarily.
it could be
you could
either
have
way.
it,
Yeah.
flip the hand.
Yeah.
Because it's a flat image.
Instead of it being the back of the hand with a number on it, could be the palm of the hand with a number on it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if we actually see McGucket's hand in the flashback of his memories before.
Oh, actually, that's right. I actually went back and watched that episode, and he did not have six fingers on his right hand.
Yeah.
They actually they did show it at least briefly, and he only had 5.
Yeah. So
the mystery remains. Who is the author?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see in about a week.
Well,
Hopefully.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Hopefully, when that new episode comes out. Episode 11?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I actually saw some images online that we won't show here because I'm not sure if they were released to the public on purpose or if it was some sort of leak. So I don't want any sort of trouble with that. But I did see a few images where it looked like really young Stan, like 5-year-old, 8-year-old Stan, with his would-be twin brother.
In like a flashback style, like kid show, like this was their childhood sort of thing.
Well, actually, that's the thing. They actually had an image of Mabel speaking to younger Stan as well. So I don't know if those are actual leaks or just a really good fan headcanon.
Yeah.
Right.
But
It's so hard to tell these days.
Yeah, with artists and everything like that going through. And this show just keeps getting more and more interesting every episode I go in.
Yeah.
It sucked me in, and I think it sucked a lot of people in, just with this, plot behind a plot, truth within the truth.
I got sucked in because of Mabel.
And Mabel being absolutely adorable.
pretty much her in the intro with the giant light up Mabel shirt pretty much defines her entire character, I think.
Yes.
So if those pictures actually do turn out to be real, then that would lead to either another time travel episode or another entering Stan's mind episode.
Right.
Both are very plausible.
Especially with the title being Not As He Seems.
Yeah.
But we will see in 2 weeks when that comes out. If you guys out there on the internets have a theory as well, leave that in the comments below. If you like the discussion, like that. And always remember that you can subscribe and get the Discussionists all the time. So, for everyone here, I'm Motive, and have a good night.